Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery here. We get together with our distribution partners most weekday mornings at this time, 8 o'clock Central. Today is January 30th, 2023. We have two types of distribution partners. We have white label partners and affiliates. I presume each of you are familiar with the difference between those two roles. But in summary, our affiliates, they sign up for free, they get a free landing page, they refer individuals to the landing page, they get paid, they have no other responsibilities. And in contrast, our white label partners are actually getting the clients under contract, involved with the implementation. But regardless of which hat you want to wear, this is an amazing time to be involved with small business finance. Well, why is that? Well, the economy is changing, right? So we went from pre-pandemic and things were going really well for most people to the pandemic, and that had some interesting effects. Many individuals did better during the pandemic than they had prior to because of the extra government subsidies, and many businesses struggled though. Now, I think we would all argue we've largely phased out of the pandemic, so we're in this new norm now. But as the Federal Reserve is seeking to control inflation, there are changes being made in the macro environment that affects you and I. So we're not immune from the macro environment. We can spend a lot of time just thinking about our little role in the big system. But if we don't understand what's going on in the big system, then we're probably at a disadvantage. So one of the things that's happening is that lenders are starting to tighten the underwriting. In other words, they're becoming more restrictive on loaning money. Well, is that good or is that bad for you and I? That's great for you and I, because less and less small businesses are going to be able to go navigate the process to get funding on their own without assistance, without help with documentation, and without having a credible enough file. I have a client, I'll leave his name up out of the conversation, but he came to us and he had almost no money. We were able to transfer one portfolio over to him, the collateral support program, and he literally was able to get approved for $25,000 for his first tranche. And we got notice from the lender late last week, and that money will be hitting his account, I don't know, either today or tomorrow, business funding. So while the overall marketplace the credit's becoming tighter, that provides a greater opportunity for you and I as technical advisors to help more people. Also, a lot of small businesses are starting to feel the squeeze because of increased cost, inflation, and other factors, whereby they are more open now, maybe than they were before, of looking for additional capital. You know, a lot of these small businesses receive PPP loans. Well, that was a sudden windfall, but that time has come and gone. So it's an incredible opportunity for you and I to be helping small businesses access capital. Now, with that being said, where do you find the small businesses? I know each of you have different approaches. Some of you have your own warm market. Some of you have referral relationships with accountants and bookkeepers and small business attorneys. I understand it varies considerably. But if you just need to acquire leads, I want to bring your attention one more time to Synergy Direct Solution, and that's the screen I'm sharing here on the page. We don't own any of them. We don't have any type of contractual relationship with them. But what is true is that they provide some really good leads. So I'm on synergydirectsolution.com business loan leads. I've scrolled down a little bit because I wanted to show you some of this content if you hadn't seen it. We've talked about Synergy Direct before and their virtual assistant program, whereby they'll literally give you free leads and they'll have a rep that calls those leads. Here, we're talking just about the business loan leads. So let's hit some of the highlights. So they're providing, number one, exclusive leads, and that makes a big difference, right? Because if you were to get a lead that others has been shared with others, then you have multiple people calling on this lead trying to help them. Now, what you and I do is unique and different, and others don't do what you and I do in terms of having $100,000 guarantee that's in writing, no upfront cost, and so forth. But the bottom line is there are other organizations, entities, and individuals that are in the marketplace of helping small businesses get capital. So exclusivity is valuable. And so that is the first thing that I wanted to bring your attention to. When you work with Synergy, they give you some flexibility in how you want to filter off of leads. Now, what you and I know for our access to capital, sometimes called guaranteed funding, we don't have minimum time in business. We don't have minimum credit scores to be able to enroll. So you don't have to filter maybe the way that some others do. But here is some of the filtering, for example, that they use for MCA leads. Now, again, this is not what you and I do. I guess we're an alternative to MCA merchant cash advances, but it's still good to see how they go about filtering. And then from my understanding, you can work with them. Kyle is the owner of Synergy Direct Solution, as I've been told, never talked to him, but you can alter the filters you want. But they have the ability to filter off of FICO credit scores. You and I know that we have our Credit Builder business loan that actually focuses on small businesses with sub 600 credit scores. So 500 or above certainly would work, but you don't really even have to filter off credit if you don't want in our model. They're talking here about filtering of a minimum 6 months in business. We don't need that. Brand new start businesses or even pre-formation businesses are fine for what you and I do, but they certainly have the ability to filter on time in business. For what he's talking about here, they're filtering on businesses that have an active operation, an active bank account. Not a requirement for us, but you can see that that's valuable, right? Because the more credible a business is, the more access to capital they'll have. They are filtering off of monthly revenue. Again, that's not a requirement for what you and I do together, but again, a company that has more revenue has more borrowing capacity. There's no doubt about that. Certainly, this bullet is very important. They're interested in funding now. So when you're getting these types of leads, these are small businesses that's looking for money now. That's much different than just getting a list of small businesses and you just randomly calling them. While it's true, I think most small businesses could benefit from $100,000 to start or grow. Those that have an explicit and communicated interest are those that are going to be the most receptive. Serious intent. And then they can filter off of bankruptcies, defaults, or judgments. We don't really care about that. We don't need to filter off of that. But the point I'm trying to make is if you don't have leads, you probably won't have conversions. And if you don't have conversions, you're probably not going to be helping small businesses. In other words, you're not going to be making any money or not enough money. So this is one option for getting leads. And my goal here is not to say these are our criteria, because these are not our criteria, but it just goes to show the type of filters that they're able to put on businesses so you can get the type of businesses you prefer to work with. I know each of you have a little different style and who you like to work with. I'm trying to pull from memory. I think Tony specifically likes to work with small businesses in South Carolina. That's his comfort zone. I think Alfred likes to work with cannabis related businesses. So, you may have a preference in industry and location or these other filters that is up to you. So who has questions on leads? I know this is a topic, and here are the fields, by the way, of what you get. I guess we can go through these briefly because I think this is what Timothy was asking. So this is what you get, and I've seen these leads flow through from those of you that are using Synergy, and it's great information. So you find out who the person, what the person's name is. Seems kind of obvious, but that's a good start. Their business phone number and their cell phone number, because texting is often effective. Their fax number, if they have one, their contact email, how much money they're looking for. Why is it that they want the funds? Where are they located? For like Tony could filter off of South Carolina if he wanted. What industry are they in? Alfred would like this. He can focus on the cannabis. How many loans do they have right now? Balances of loans. Are they the owner of the business? Making sure you're talking to the decision maker. How long have they been the owner? Do they want money right away? And so again, this is nice because is there an urgency? Because what you don't want to do is spend a lot of time and energy with someone that is not really committed to accessing capital. You'd be better off to talk to those that are. Again, they're filtering off of income. We don't need that type of income for our program, but that's good feedback to have. Do they process credit cards? What are their credit scores? Do they have any equity? Any issues of getting improved, and when to call them back. So, and you'll see the leads come through. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. So who has questions, comments, concerns on leads? Because if you don't have leads, you probably won't have conversions. And if you don't have conversions, frankly, you're not going to be making money. So regardless if you're an affiliate or a white label partner, who has questions on leads? Now, Aziz is sending me lead information, but you're a white label partner. So if you're a white label partner, so it's so important to understand the process. If you're an affiliate, you drive people to your landing page. That's all you need to do. We'll take it from there. You get paid. If you're a white label partner, then you get the client under contract. I was talking to JR this morning, one of our white label partners, and we were doing our weekly check-in, our first weekly check-in. And I said, well, JR, we're about to the end of the month. How's it looking? He goes, I got 4 people, but they don't have any funding. And he was kind of cranky. And it sounds like I woke him up, but it was the time he had scheduled. And I said, JR, I don't see any of these agreements in your white label Dropbox. I said, we're not processing any of them. You've not uploaded any of them. So it's so important to know how to submit deals. If you're an affiliate, to send them to your landing page. If you are a white label partner, you have to get them under agreement, then get an app, and we've had separate trainings on that, and then you upload it into Dropbox. So, you're our customers, and we care and love you, and you're always right. But really, the last thing we want to hear is that we're not doing our job when, frankly, you've not done yours. If you don't upload an agreement into your white label partner Dropbox and a funding app, there's nothing for us to do. So JR and I got that straight. But last thing you want to do is have dissatisfied clients. What we've talked about is we want 100% client satisfaction in 2023. But there is no funding, there's no processing if we can't get the data to process. So yes, if, as he says, a white label partner, what you'll do is you'll get them under contract. If you want to be an affiliate, you'll just send them to your landing page. Those are the 2 options. We don't have other options. I have one person that'll just send me emails all the time, kind of randomly about leads. We don't process that way. So if you're a white label partner, you get the client under contract, and we can help you close them if you need. If it's an affiliate, you send them to your landing page. Those are the 2 processes. There's not other processes. But back to leads. So as we wrap up the month, if you're a white label partner, you obviously want to look at your production in the month of January and say, okay, am I averaging 2 clients a week? And if you're not compliant after a 30-day grace period. So we need to stop and say, okay, what do we need to do to make sure that February we're on track? Because we want you to be successful. And well, all the time, but in February, as of today's recording, January 30th. So if you're a white label partner and you're not helping at least 2 clients a week, then we need to stop, figure out the problem, And is it leads or is it conversions? Really, it could probably only be those two things. Either you don't have any leads to convert, or you have leads and you're not converting them. So that's where we can come in. Does anyone want to respond into the Q&A? It's kind of like chat a Zoom. What is your biggest challenge? Is your challenge leads, or is your biggest challenge converting the leads? So let's take a moment, kind of do an informal poll. So Alfred and Andrea and Aziz and Bernard and Charles and Corey and Jeanette and Pauline, Randy, Sonia, Tony. We have 311 of you on right now. So just curious what the issue is. Is it leads or is it conversion? So we're getting some responses back. And so far, more of the responses are converting. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about conversion strategies. So we strongly recommend having a landing page, even if you're a white label partner. Best practice, not required, but best practice, and we've talked about this before, is to have a landing page to drive people to. And on that landing page, there should be a brief video so they can learn a little bit more, but it should link to your terms and conditions. So it's very easy for them to sign up. Easy is key. People want free, simple, and easy. Free, simple, and easy. I know those are a bit redundant, but free, simple, and easy. So the closer that you can make it to free, simple, and easy, the more people that you'll convert. So for those of you that are having trouble converting, and I don't want to read out your names, do you have a landing page that you're driving people to? So I'll just use initials. BB. BB. Do you have a landing page that you're driving people to? RS. RS. Do you have a landing page you're driving people to? JS. Do you have a landing page you're driving people to? AB. Do you have a landing page? So each of you that said conversion's an issue, the first thing I would stop and say, okay, what's my process of conversion? Do I have a landing page? If we do, and again, not saying you have to have a landing page, but it's best practice. Now, if you do have a landing page, then we get to the point of, okay, well, where's the constraint then? Because now you've made it simple. And typically some people will just go to the landing page and sign up, especially if you have some sort of automation built in where it follows up with them if they started the process, but they didn't end. All right, and so from there, what are the key obstacles that people have? Let's talk about obstacles that people are presenting to you and preventing you from closing. So Jeanette is asked, or Jeanette has already responded to that. And if others have obstacles that you're facing in closing, we'll work on those today. But what Jeanette has stated is that they're asking her if she has received funding. Well, first of all, each individual circumstances are different. Secondly, I do this, I don't want to exaggerate, I was going to say all day, every day, but I do this probably more than any of the rest of you. And no one ever asked me if I've ever gotten funding. So it's interesting that they ask you. Thirdly, is everyone should have received at least their first tranche of financing, because we have 100% on that, right? It's either cash funding or the 0%. Now, I know the cash funding is better than 0%, but everyone that enrolls, as long as they participate, they should get their first tranche of financing or funding within 5 to 7 days, within a week or so. And so that should be an encouraging statement to share. So wordsmithing is important. We always want to tell the truth, of course, and be honest and accurate, but you want to say as little as necessary to get someone to commit to move forward in the process. And so if you're having trouble converting, we need to identify specifically what's blocking that, what objections that they have. And so Jeanette's point was that apparently, I guess, all of her prospects ask her how her funding's coming along. But what you and I know, Jeanette, is that different people have different credibility factors. Everyone that goes through the program, we guarantee 100,000, but different people have different starting points. And so as long as we have participants that will participate, we can help them become credible enough to get at least 100,000. So for any of you that have not received your 100,000 yet in funding, we need to schedule a call. We need to objectively sit down and look at your file and make sure that we have a funding plan in place and that you're credible enough, because it's not based upon time, it's based upon credibility. So I think possibly if you're having trouble, if you're like Jeanette and having trouble closing leads because they're asking about your funding situation, maybe that is too warm of a market. It's your friends and family. Maybe you don't really have that much credibility with them. Maybe they see that you're struggling. If that's the case, it might be better to step back and go with leads that you don't have an emotional tie to, and be able to just simply explain what we do, right? Explain what we do. And what is it that we do? Let's go over to our landing page. And so this is the landing page all affiliates get. And then if you are a white label partner, we can develop one very similar to just have your branding and your terms and conditions. But you know, what are the hot buttons to talk about? Because I think many of you are near Mensa like in intelligence. You're just so damn smart that you want to talk too much, and instead we want to talk less. And so, you know, our highlights are really laid out on this page. I had one partner that contacted me over the weekend and wanted to talk, and we didn't talk over the weekend. I suppose we'll talk today. And she's like, okay, I've got some new leads. What do I do? Well, what you'd probably want to do is just reiterate what's on your landing page, right? So if someone didn't know what to say, it's really right here. You would just verbalize it. We have a program that provides $100,000 of guaranteed access to capital. Oops. We can provide the funding that you need to start or grow your business, no matter your credit score or time in business. As I mentioned, we have a $100,000 minimum capital raise. There is no maximum. All US-based businesses qualify, even if they've not been formed yet. We're going to get that first round of funding in less than 7 days. There's no upfront cost to enroll. And again, no minimum credit score, no minimum time in business. Those are the highlights, right? So we don't have to try to ponder and figure out what to say. It's here on this landing page, which probably should be on your landing page as well. And then let's say someone says, well, let's say they're more inquisitive. Well, how does this work? Or that sounds too good to be true. How can you guarantee $100,000? Well, and then that's the pictorial we have here. And we've had 2 trainings where we've gone through and described this. So I won't be redundant and do that. But this is the model that describes how it is that it's possible to do. And you can let the clients know that we have a promise, a commitment to 100% client satisfaction. I had an email from Bernard over the weekend, and one of his prospects hadn't closed yet because of concerns of outcome, I guess we'll say. And so what Bernard and I emailed back and forth on is the same thing I'll share with you now. You know, our approach is we have written agreements with clients as well as with affiliates and white label partners, but now we're talking about clients. So we have written agreements that explicitly state what we promise to do and what the client promises to do. And so if at any point that the client doesn't feel that we've done everything that we're supposed to do, or you, if you're a white label partner, you don't feel like we've done everything that we promised to do, then let us know. It's called giving notice, and we'll try to fix it if we can. If you're still not satisfied, or from a client's perspective, if they're not satisfied, no one has to get angry or upset. we have an arbitration provision in our agreements. And so that means that we can sit down with an independent third-party arbitrator and resolve the problem. It's kind of like going to, I guess, marriage counseling, if that is a good analogy. So it's okay. But what I shared with Bernard and what I can share honestly with you is we've not yet had not even one client ever say, hey, you guys didn't do what you promised in the contract. I want to go to arbitration, because we would welcome that. If we can't resolve the client's satisfaction, the issue, then well, let's go to arbitration and resolve it. So not only have we never lost an arbitration case, we've never had a bona fide client or white label partner complaint where we've gone to arbitration. So doesn't mean we're perfect, but in terms of satisfaction, we're absolutely committed to client satisfaction. And we would ask you to be too. We're 100% committed to your satisfaction as a white label partner. The biggest reason that a client, or I guess a white label partner, would not be satisfied is if they change the rules of the game. And we've had this happen frequently. People will sign up and then they'll say, oh no, I don't want to do it that way. I want to do it this way. And it's like, well, that's not what we agreed to. I mean, did you read the agreement? Oh, yeah, but I want to do it differently. And everyone will have a reason for why. Well, that's where dissatisfaction will come from. So what can you do as a white label partner to minimize that? You control the agreement, right? You're the white label partner. You control the words in your client agreement. You control pricing, you control terms and conditions. And so you're able to control what you want to promise to do for the client and what they're promising to do for you. So that's, I think, one of the reasons that many people become a white label partner versus an affiliate is that they control the environment, they control the circumstances. But again, if at any point you feel or a client feels that not everything's been done, then we use arbitration. All right, so we kind of digressed a bit. So our point today was to talk about Synergy Direct. Again, I have no financial interest in them, but Synergy Direct Solutions. And we were talking about, in my opinion, really the value of the leads. Now you can go through their pricing here. This is what I think most of you are doing. Are any of you that's on the live Zoom today using the virtual assistants, virtual agents, I should say, that you could comment on how that's working? Anyone have any feedback on that? I don't know which of you, since we're not a middleman on this, are any of you currently using the Synergy Direct virtual agents? I've talked to many of our partners that have, and they tell me they average about 1 to 1.5 deals per hour. These virtual agents essentially provide the list, the leads for free, and then they call out to those leads, and then they obtain that information set that we're talking about here. So from what I've seen from a third-party perspective, it's a great deal. Now, I know many of you are really good on the phone and like to, I guess, maybe like to telemarket. So if that's the case, of course, you could do the same thing without paying one of their virtual assistants if that's what you wanted to do. Virtual agents, I'm sorry, if that's what you wanted to do. But everyone that I've talked to has had really good success. So if you don't have leads, that's the core problem you got to fix. If you do have leads and you're not having conversions, then we need to step back. Do you have a landing page? Great. If you have a landing page, are you driving them to the landing page? Because normally once they fill this out, then they'll hit the blue, or I guess it's kind of bluish purple button, take them to the next stage, take them to the terms and conditions. Most people will go through that process on their own. Some you might have to answer questions, which is fine, but the goal is to say as little as possible, reiterate what's on your landing page in terms of the benefits, in terms of how the program works, and then you have the written agreement with them. Now, just to explain as we close out, as a white label partner, when you have a page similar to this, the front end will look the same. but when we hit get started, it goes to page 2. I'm just kind of showing this as if it's page 2. So on page 2, it'll have your terms and conditions. You're controlling the language of the client agreement, including pricing. All right. Yeah, so Aziz is requesting a white label landing page. Yeah. So Scott Stroud, our Chief Marketing Officer, is happy to develop you a landing page. It'll look similar to this. It'll have your logo, your branding, your colors, your terms and conditions linked, and he'll develop that for you, Aziz, for $300 if that's what you want. You don't have to do that. If you're an affiliate, you get one for free because it's just replicated as a white label partner. It's a custom build. But Scott's busy enough, he didn't care, it didn't matter to me. If you want Scott to create one for you and you need one as a white label partner, fine. If you want to create it yourself or not have one, doesn't matter. But if you're not seeing the production that you would expect or want or need, I would make sure that you at least consider having a landing page. I would encourage you to make sure you have a good lead flow, many different ways to get leads. You don't have to buy leads, you don't have to use Synergy Direct. But if you just wanted a plug and play system, this is it. Any questions, comments, concerns before we wrap up today's session? All right. Well, thanks, everyone. You have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.